Welcome. I am Lynn Tatum, Director of Volunteer Services at Homestead Hospice. We have the privilege and the honor of having veterans with us today that will be leaving tomorrow on the honor flight. Today we are going to be doing some interviews, more personal type interviews. And we're going to begin starting today with Mr. Ken Wilson and his father Porter. Now, Porter is a World War II veteran, and then you have Ken, who's a Vietnam veteran. So we're going to kind of go to both sides of the spectrum today on the very first interview. After that, we're going to have Mr. Leonard Crane come in. He's another Vietnam veteran. And then we're going to wrap it up by having Mr. Raymond Bryant, who is a World War II veteran, come in and share his story. The beauty of today is that we get to share the gift they gave us many, many years ago in some cases. So thank you for allowing us to be here. And know that this is all taken care of today by the Hope Foundation, which is a fabulous portion of Homestead Hospice. So if you remember Homestead Hospice, where life's most important journey begins. Now I'm going to turn it over and let the two guys have a little chat with you. Thank you.
Sure. All right, my name is Leonard Howard Crane Sr. because I have a son by the same name, and I served many years ago in the Vietnam War, and I'm going to tell you a little bit of some stories of the time that I was in service and how I came to be in service and that sort of thing. I was drafted. And had never been, well, not too far away from home. We lived in a little country place in middle Georgia, and I was living at home with my parents. Although I was in my early 20s at the time. I was about 23 when I was drafted, and I thought perhaps I'd skate by, that they wouldn't call me because I already got to be, I thought, past the age. But then Vietnam got hot, and they needed everybody they could get, and so they drafted me. And I was in process in Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and I remember it quite well because, it was a great influx of people. I mean, they were drafting from everywhere, and they had put up a tent city up there, and so we got there and was going through in processing, and we drew bedding, and they carried us into the barracks, and we threw our bedding on the bunk, and we never saw the bunk again for about 3 days because we were busy night and day, being in process. And then and I remember that I stayed up for the first about 4 nights, all night long. One night I had KP, and one night I had another type guard duty because when you're in the military, your name starts with A, B, or C. You're in bad luck. It's better to be named somewhere in the X, Y, Z's if you're going to be in service, because if your name starts with A, B, or C, then that's the ones they're going to call for every kind of detail or duty that comes along. And since my name was Crane, you can imagine. So I remember having to be up day and night for about a week, and I thought, don't they ever sleep in this man's army? But anyway, they sent us down to Fort Gordon, Georgia for boot camp, and we spent about 11 weeks where I found out why they call it boot camp, because you spend a lot of time polishing those boots, and learning how to salute and learning close order drill and that sort of thing.
Were you in physical shape to do this?
Pretty much, because I was in pretty good physical condition, being a country boy and having worked outside most of my life and worked on the farm some and cutting and baling hay. I was never a big guy, but I was tough, and I was not any weakling by any means. So I didn't have a lot of trouble with the training, or with the runs that they send you on, or with the forced marches that they send you on, so that you have to do. So got out of basic and got orders for radio teletype school, and sent me to Fort Ord, California. First time I was ever on a plane in my life was flying from Atlanta, Georgia to Fort Ord, California. And I remember on the way over, the little waitress come by, the little stewardess, I guess they call her. She came by and says, would you like a drink? And I said, And I thought, well, I'm up here, nobody knows. I didn't drink, but I thought, why not? So she said, what would you like? She handed me a little menu there, and I just pointed at something because I didn't know one drank from another. So okay. So she brought it to me and said, that'll be $3.50. So I paid her the $3.50, and I didn't have much money, maybe $20 in my pocket. And I paid her the $3.50, and I drank, and it wasn't good, because I wasn't used to it, So I didn't hardly drink it. I just sat it over there in the seat. Then she came by a little while later and said, and I was about to starve. She said, "Are you going to be eating supper with us on the plane, or dinner? I believe you going to have dinner?" And I said, "Oh no." I thought, well, if that drink was $3.50, the dinner cost me $45. I know. I couldn't eat a bite. No, I'm not hungry. Come to find out that the dinner was free. I mean, it was in with the ticket price. I mean, it didn't cost anything. But me being a country boy, having never flown, didn't know anything, didn't know nothing. Didn't know.
And you didn't want to ask anybody.
Didn't want to ask her, because they should say, they could tell how dumb I was. So I wasn't going to do it. So anyway, went out there and to Fort Ord and went through about 8 weeks of radio teletype training, and which we sat at a table all day learning Morse code and radio procedure and that sort of thing. And they said that those of you who are good enough and who really do well at the training are going to go back to Fort Gordon and go through an additional 8 to 10 weeks of teletype. We're going to teach you how to do teletype and set up teletype and communicate using teletype. And I didn't much care what they wanted, but I just wanted to get back to Georgia because I had met Linda, my wife now of all these many years, of about 48 years we've been married. But at the time, we had just met. And so I wanted to get back and date Linda. I thought maybe if I get that close, I can get a weekend pass. And so I worked hard to get, and I got back to Georgia, and I did manage a few weekend passes, not many, but I did get to see her a little bit before my time was up. And then I was a holdover for some time. Everybody got, the last week you had to go through a secret clearance, and I didn't have a clearance. And being from a little town that I was, they couldn't find anything on me. I mean, it's like I didn't exist. I mean, if you had a speeding ticket, or if you'd bought something, or if you had any kind of record, but I wasn't. I just lived way out in the country, shopped at the little country store, didn't have anything. They didn't know me, so they liked to. So I became a holdover. They couldn't find, and so finally, I got the secret clearance. I was able to go ahead and complete the last couple of weeks of the teletype school. And then they sent me to Fort Devens, Massachusetts, to join the 595th Signal Corps. And when I got to Fort Devens, Massachusetts, which about 100 miles above Boston, never been up in New England, and I enjoyed it very much. Got up there, and Fort Devens looked like a college campus. It was so nice, We used to go to World War II barracks in Fort Gordon. We got there, it was real nice, like a college campus. Everything was manicured, everything looked nice. But the 595th we got in late one night and finally found a rear detachment of the 595th that was attached to another company. We said, "Where's the 595th? That's where we're here to join them." They said, "Well, they left for Vietnam 2 weeks ago, and you'll be going Monday." I said, wait a minute, Top. I said, "What about some leave?" He said, "I thought you was coming off leave." I said, "No, sir, we haven't had any leave." He said, he cussed a little bit. He said, "Well, I'll see what I can do." So the next day, they said, "Well, you got to have I forgot, 35, 40 shots you got to have before you can go, and then, you can get as soon as you get." I said, "When can I get them?" They said, "Well, we don't care, it's up to you." So I took 19 one day and 20 the next. And then they gave us some money and sent us on leave, and I remember going into the bus station in Boston trying to get a bus out of there, and my arms were about to break off from all those shots that I'd had, for getting me. And I understand the reason for it. They immunize you against everything that could possibly happen to somebody if you're going out of the country, going to a foreign land now. So I went on leave, saw the folks and all, and then wound up in Saigon, and waited on orders there for 2 or 3 weeks, I guess. At their headquarters, and then the headquarters company where I was at in Saigon sent me up to Nha Trang. When I got to Nha Trang, I wound up with a bunch of guys that, before they had been activated and sent to Vietnam, they were had been stationed at the Atlanta Army Depot in Atlanta, Georgia. So I wound up with a bunch of hometown guys up there. I mean, it was like I mean, if you can't see your family when you run up with some old guys that talk just like you do, you know, I said, my goodness, this is nice. There really is a God. Here I am. But I got up there, and the evening I went there, they said, and I found out those guys were hometown boys, and I said, boy, I'd like to stay here with y'all. And they said, well, I said, go see the communications sergeant, and perhaps you could stay here. I said, well, you don't understand, I'm not good at talking to sergeants and all. And he said, no, he's all right. I said, go talk. I said, there he is. They pointed him out to me, you know. So I walked down there, and it said, his name's Sergeant Jolly. So I walked down and said, Sergeant Jolly? He said, what do you want, troop? I said, do y'all need any help here, sir? He said, well, don't call me sir. I'm not an officer, and no, we don't need no help. We got all my people that have too long before they can rotate out. I can't replace them until they got less than 90 days. So, no, the answer is I don't need anybody, and I'll talk to you. I'll see you later. Good luck. And he walked away. So I went over and I said, nah. He said, I had no chance. They said, well, too bad. I said, we'd like to have you here. And so they put me in the communications transit bunker, not the communications tent. That was later, but they put me in the transit tent because I was on my way somewhere else. And I was laying in there and thinking about my bad luck, and I said, gosh, I wish I could stay here with these guys. Some guy came in and said, Crane, Crane. I said, that's me. He said, get your stuff, move in the communication tent. You're going to be staying with us. I said, what? You're going to be I said, there must be something to stay. He said, look, I hadn't got all day. I'm on my way to the enlisted men's club. I ain't got time to fool with you. Now get your stuff and get in the communications tent. I said, okay. So I picked everything up, went over, you know, wasn't but 2 or 3 tents over, and I went in the communication, said, pick you out a bunk. And I went in and you know, and put everything down. I said, I don't understand. I don't get it. And so nobody told me anything. So I stayed the night there and went and chatted the next morning. Sometime up in the morning, one of the guys came in and said, Sergeant Jolly says he's going to keep you. He's going to keep you. You're going to be staying here with us. And the reason why was because after I had said what I did to Sergeant Jolly, he went up to headquarters and got my records and looked in, and they saw a thing in there that said top 10% of the class. They had presented with a little thing that said top 10% of the class. So he said, well, you know, he talks kind of slow, but he ain't stupid. I think I'll keep him. So he came to me and said, look, what I told you about I can't replace these men or any of them because they all got over 90 days, so I got to keep you hid until less than 90 days. Do you see that radio bunker? I said, what radio bunker? He said, cross over there. And I looked, and about a quarter of a mile from the company across the desert over there, across the sand, was a little, I could see all kind of antennas. He said, you go in there in the morning at 5:30, and I'll send somebody to relieve you for chow, and you stay in there until 7 o'clock at night. And that's where I had to stay for about the first, 3 or 4 weeks, because he didn't want anybody to know that I was there and ask questions about why you got this guy. You can't replace anybody. But after his guys got close, then it was all right for him to let it be known that he had a replacement. So,
did you have some books, or what did you do to occupy yourself?
I was busy running the net. I was running the net.
So you had a job.
I had a job, talking to Saigon and Pleiku and Don Bathian and Cameron Bay and all kinds of different places on the radio, and it was strictly voice radio. I mean, I had studied Morse code, but I never used it. I just used strictly voice radio. So, and as I was telling somebody a little while ago, our executive officer was a West Point graduate there at the headquarters company that I worked. And so the first time he called down to the radio room, I said, radio room, sir. He said, what part of Georgia are you from, troop? And he knew just that smart. He was a good guy. He was a good executive officer, but you had to salute if you even saw his shadow, because, they're all about spit and polish and all. And not a whole lot. We were somewhat lax as far as our appearance and all after we got in country, and that tremendous heat and humidity and everything just does a number on you. And I think they must have washed our clothes in mud holes or something, because you're over there, and about a couple of weeks you start getting a rash everywhere where your skin touches, and you keep it till you get home. And I was back home about maybe a week, and it goes away. But Major Perkins was West Point, and he believed in you being spit polished, and he believed in you being a soldier. And I always remember that about it. But he was a good guy, and he was sharp as a tack. Anyway, spent the time there and made some lifelong friends. Never saw a lot of action. As I say, I just contributed behind the scenes at the communications bunker, and even once in a while we got to take a swim in the South China Sea in a train, which was if Vietnam had a Daytona Beach, that would be it. It was I think the president of the country had a summer home there, and it was nothing to compare now with Daytona Beach, but the beach was pretty big, wide, and once in a while, not every day or not every week, but sometimes we'd get to go in and so I always felt that I was fortunate to have served when I did, and with the guys that I did, and the experiences you have, you never forget, and the friends you make, they look like they stay with you forever. And thank you for talking. Thank you. Enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah. How was the? Do you live your life differently in any way because of the experience that you reflect back on an experience? You say, I have a choice about this now, or how I look at things.
Well, I think to some extent, but then I was always raised to believe that this is the greatest country in the world, and that it's worth fighting for, that it's worth protecting, that the old cliche that freedom is not free, and it's not, so I guess I may be a little bit more patriotic than I otherwise would be, and I don't make a big deal out of it, but I certainly would never. I can't stand to see anybody deface the flag or down this country because. While I came back and without a scratch, but many good men gave their life in World War I, World War II, Vietnam, and Korea, and I think it's a dishonor to in any way act as though you don't appreciate what they've done for you.
In this situation, there's a few little pleasures. One of them is food. So either you say, I'll never eat that again in my life, or, man, I never realized this is so good.
Yeah, it really was not bad. It was not bad. I think that, the Army buys the finest food in the world. Now, some of the cooks can manage to fix it where it's unrecognizable, but on the whole, it's pretty good. When you feed that many people, and even in Vietnam, we had potatoes and meat, and we had Coke. But I'll never forget the Coke after they'd send them over on the ships, and by the time they got to us, they were pretty flat. I mean, they had a semblance of Coke or Coca-Cola, but they were so flat, they lost all the fizz, So I tell somebody for a year I drank Cokes that were flat, but no, all in all, it was. I have nothing to say that, and I know it's. Some people like to down the food in the military. The biscuits in the Army, they say they're mighty fine. One fell off the table and broke a pile of mine, broke a knee of mine or something. But no, that really is pretty good.
Any particular people that you reflect on as making a difference when you think about how they lived or what they said, as far as a fellow soldier?
I don't know. I had some friends, lots of friends in the service. One old boy from Greensboro, North Carolina, and he and I were bunkmates, good friends, And one night during the middle of the night, and Ricky was my friend. He just was pretty blind without his glasses, so they called a red alert. An imminent attack, so we had to get out and defend the perimeter. Of course, they didn't attack, but it was a real thing. So we all got up scrambling and heading, and getting our weapons and getting out on the line, out on the perimeter around the company area. We were going to form a perimeter like we've been taught, So we started out, and I could hear Will say, "Crane, Crane, 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 come, Crane." So what is it, Will? I can't find my glasses. I said, "Come on, get your glasses. Come on, let's go." I can't find them. Where are they? And so he said, "Come here. Take your lights." I said, "No." I said, "I know better." And because when they sound an alarm, you dare not strike a match, a light, or anything, you know, because that was a rule. You just didn't do that. But he was my buddy, so what was I going to do? So I'm going to and flick my Bic or whatever it was I had where he could see it, find his glasses. And about that time, I don't know how they, but some sergeant saw it, you know. And he come in there and said, Wilson and Crane, I should have known it was you two. You report in my office in the morning. So we went up there and got a big chewing out, you know, because we knew better. But I had lots of friends now. But no, I don't remember any that maybe made a great big difference in my life, other than the friendships that we made make a difference. So.
In the program Masters, Radar, who always was able to get the good stuff.
That's right. Exactly.
Did you have a radar in your club?
Oh, everybody has one. Everybody has a radar and some real characters, you know. And I know it's been so many years till my mind, till I can't remember with great clarity all of them. But yeah, they were some characters. I'm telling you the truth. One guy was bad about going downtown, and he wouldn't make it. And when sometimes they put town off limit, but sometimes you can go downtown, the little town. It's not like our town, but it was a town. You can go downtown and have beer joints and stuff like that. So he'd go downtown, and the MPs have to drag him back in. They'd find him out of his mind on Monday morning, bring him back up. They'd get on, but. He always seemed to get out of it, you know. He might get Article 13 or whatever it was called. I think that's what it was called back then, whatever it was. Where they put you on detention, you have to pick up cigarette butts and things, you know. Of course, back in those days when I was there, everybody smoked. I mean, I think I smoked a little short Lucky Strikes, you know.
All those tobacco companies were gladly supplying cigarettes?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. I think a carton was about $1.10, you know, and everybody smoked. I mean, it was just beginning to get to be, I guess, maybe they had the warning labels on them at that time. I don't think we realized at that time exactly the penalty that you would pay, including me and lots of other people, for smoking heavily all those years. But everybody did, and I did too, you know. I didn't know hardly anybody that didn't in those days. Now you don't know anybody that does, and I have been quit for a number of years. And, you know, can't see why I ever smoked first, but Lord knows I did in those days.
Any closing words?
No, just that I want to thank the folks that are putting this thing together, and I feel so honored to be around the guys from World War II. Tom Brokaw said they were the greatest generation. I think Tom Brokaw was right. I feel sometimes like an imposter when I'm around them because my experience was nothing like what they went through. They put it all on the line, and I wonder sometimes if I'd have had to do that, would I have done it? I pray I would have, if I'd have been called on to do it. But I know they did, and they deserve our utmost respect. And I'm glad that they're going to get to go tomorrow, and I'll get to be in their company. And I'm just looking forward to that. Thank you.